trap. Welcome to the trap.
Welcome to the trap. Welcome to the trap. Welcome to the trap. Welcome to the trap.
Let's go. Zen.
Trap.
Zen.
Trap.
Zen.
Trap.
Zen.
Trap.
Protect.
Yo, peace. Welcome back to another ZTP Zen Trap Perspective. We got a really good episode for you today. I'm one of your two hosts, Yogi LG.
Zen P.
All right, here at the Zen Trap podcast, our purpose is to guide and inspire listeners to be accountable for their overall health while sharing our perspective and journey to do the same through continuously seeking internal peace, maximizing our potential in service to others. We got a special book today that we've read and we are recommending. We want to review this for y'all because it is a fantastic book. The name of the book is Underrated, A Route That Caught an NFL Dream by Mr. Wallace J. Miles, one of our good friends. He wrote a book. We read the book. Fantastic book.
Fantastic.
I can't say enough. I can't wait to get into it. So, Pete, tell me who you would recommend this book to.
I would recommend this book to athletes for sure. People who are into sports, people who have that sports type of mindset applying to like regular life, not necessarily saying it has to be an athlete that's trying to make it a profession, but if you have that athlete's mindset of competition and trying to better yourself, definitely would recommend it to anybody with that type of mindset. Super inspiring. What about you?
Same thing, young athletes. If you really got a dream and you're trying to chase it, anybody that's trying to really like go after something, even Aggies, you can relate when you hear, especially people who was in, at A&T from like 2008 to 2012. In that time frame, you can relate kind of what was going on campus. If you went to the football games like I did, you can relate to that as well. So I would recommend you read it. And then just any young kid anywhere that if you need some focus, you need some inspiration, I think this book is amazing. And honestly, not even young kids, it inspired me. So anybody who's really looking for some inspiration,
yeah, for sure. If you're on that self-help journey, self-help kick, I think this is a great book for the collection. Yeah. I can definitely see why it's in the self-help area and section. It's beriddled. I don't even know if that's a good word or a real word. I've probably seen that on TV.
Ooh.
Beriddled with lessons inside of his life experiences, and then him going through in each one of those life lessons and breaking them down and making them into practical self-help lessons and metaphors that you can apply to your own life. So after each almost lesson or story that he tells, he goes in detail to try and say what he learned from it, what he got from it, and how you can apply it to your life, not just how it applies to his. So super good book for anybody looking to better themselves or be more self-aware and have a higher perspective.
Very well written. Can't say enough about it. How would you describe this to somebody who's never read it?
For someone who's never read the book, it is the journey of Wallace from starting sports late to literally making it to the NFL. Yeah. And if anybody doesn't know, which I'm sure most people do, making it as a professional athlete is definitely one of the hardest things you can do anywhere in the world. There are X amount of spots. Everybody wants to do it. It's highly competitive, not only from just staying healthy enough to make it, but competing against all those other people who have the same dream. So for you definitely have to want it, and you have to kind of constantly know your why in wanting it. So this is a book outlaying his unique story in getting there as well. Super unique story. I agree. I would describe it pretty similar. Honestly, it's his life story. I think he told us that his mom made it a point to say like you should document that because your story is unique and it does inspire someone. So any little tidbit within his life that he could use to inspire someone else, that's what he's doing. That is what he's doing, and I think he did a fantastic job at doing so for sure. All right, so my favorite area The bars. What's your favorite bar?
All right, so I think I'm gonna say my biggest takeaway bar was just the quote of "change your cleats," and the background behind that was basically like, for those who don't know, which I'm not gonna tell you the whole book, but Wallace originally was a soccer player, so he kind of started in football as a kicker, not as a wide receiver, and that's what he turned into, as a wide receiver. One of the greatest at A&T to ever do it. Shout out to him for that. But one of the big things in the book was that when he was at camp, he had 2 pair of cleats. He had his soccer cleats that he kicked with, and then he had his regular cleats that he played with when he was trying to play wide receiver. So the concept of changing your cleats and not just doing what people think you should do, being prepared for your next, or what you want to do, right? What your next move is, having those pair of cleats ready, and theoretically whatever that is in your life. That was a bar for me, just recognizing. And I think his whole production social media is called Change Your Cleats, so I think that's so dope.
Yeah,
for sure.
1,000% agree. For me, same kind of bar concept that I saw constantly being repeated in the book that's kind of big in my life right now is almost starting with why and remembering your why. I think that was a constant thing he talked about in the book whenever he was going through hardships or even good times. Keeping it grounded and remembering that why is what kept propelling him to stay in it and get through those hard times. So the quote is, setting goals is easy, but starting and continuing the journey is hard. When times get tough, remember your why. So for some people, I will say coming up with the why is hard sometimes, but it's definitely necessary for you to start with it. And I think for me, and in particular, and some of the people I know who struggle with a why, is that a why feels so like permanent sometimes. So it's hard to come up with a why that you really want to keep revisiting, because it doesn't feel like you can change it once you have it. But I think once you get into that mindset that you do want your why to be something that's not that, I ain't gonna say flexible, but that isn't constantly changing, because that's what you're gonna keep referring to. But don't think it's just written in stone. You can adjust it whenever you need to, as the times need to be adjusted or when it calls for it. But I think the people that do have a why and start with it, you can just definitely see the night and day difference. It keeps you going. It's something that you can keep looking back to. So I think getting into depth and really looking inward to know what your why is and being in detail of what you actually want just helps you so much when you're along the journey of picking out what you don't want and keeping you in it. Like throughout the book, whenever he would, for example, get tackled too hard or have to be doing some kind of crazy training, or when he's working really hard,
refer to his why.
Refer to your why. Take 30 seconds. All right, cool. I know why I'm doing it.
I know why I'm doing it.
And I think he did the audit a lot of times too, the check,
like, why am I doing
ask yourself,
this?
not only why are you doing it, do I want to keep doing it?
Yeah, exactly.
He asked himself that multiple times throughout the book, which I thought was great. And it's like, yeah, I do. Okay, easy enough. Boom, enough. I ain't got to complain no more. Exactly. I want to keep doing it.
Exactly.
I definitely had to do that while traveling.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be a lot of days or times where it'd be like, why am I doing this? And then it'd be like, okay, I know why I'm doing it. Do I want to keep doing it? Yes. And just remembering that, like, you chose this. You can stop at any point.
It's your life. You picked it. Another bar he said throughout the book often, which is it's just a classic. Everybody says it. I ain't gonna say everybody. A lot of people say it. Stay ready so you don't gotta get ready.
Stay ready.
But he focused on that stay ready, right? His father was telling him, you never know when your opportunity is gonna come. You know what I'm saying? You never know when somebody gonna get hurt, or the coaches feel like, I need you to do this specifically, so you gotta stay ready. And then you don't gotta get ready. If you wait till you get the wide receiver position to start running routes and all that stuff, it's too late. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and start doing it now, so when they call your name, you ready. And I think it showed itself several times in college, in high school even, and even going on to the NFL, where he had to stay ready. So he had to get ready.
That's everything in life, sports,
for sure,
regular jobs, anything. You can think of yourself as being on the bench until you get that one moment, that one opportunity that shows up, and it's like, are you gonna be ready for it, or are you gonna get there and be like the lights are in your face, like I don't know what to do. Right. I think that's great. What was your favorite section of the book?
I say favorite section was probably when he was talking about camp at A&T, like when he was first getting on, and I don't really know what chapter that was. I read the audiobook, so it was just going. But just him talking about like how he was, I think like the 91st spot. He was like number 91, and it was only 90 spots in camp, and they made a spot for him, and how each time like these opportunities just started manifesting himself. So he referenced The Secret. In high school after his graduation, somebody gave him The Secret. We've done a review on that before, and he watched it, and literally he started manifesting his dreams, which was just unreal. And you saw that really start to unravel once he got to A&T and got to camp. And so I thought that was just a super inspiring portion of the book. And it was hard. Like you could tell that he really faced a lot of hardships and trials and tribulations, trying to get a schedule. It's your first time you out on your own, away from your family, like all these different things that happen to everybody else when you get to college. But he's also trying to make himself a walk-on player at A&T. So it was just a really inspiring section of the book for me.
Yeah, I can agree. I think that was my favorite section as well. I did the audiobook as well, and just kind of side note, highly recommend the audio version.
So good.
With the different sound effects and Wallace telling the story, you can hear it in his voice, and highly recommend the audio book if you do have the hard copy. But yeah, when he did listen to The Secret, I think I had a similar feeling, so super relatable. So that's why it was one of my favorite sections. I think when a lot of people hear about The Secret, you sometimes think that you can just like manifest things and that's all you got to do, but it's manifesting with the work behind it. So one of the quotes was, "The secret is not a passive act." I love that kind of quote where they were talking about it, and it just feeds back into like the starting with your why. So it's like once you know your why, once you know what you're manifesting and stuff like that, now it's easier for you to start running towards that direction, putting in the work. And as you're running and going, you're getting all these different people in your life that can help adjust you and get you and move things out of your way so you can get there.
Another bar I'm gonna throw out real quick. I think, and I don't know if I've ever heard this, and maybe a lot of people have, but fear is false evidence appearing real. He mentioned that in the book, and I was like, man, that's so true. Like, fear is just things that a lot of it is just we make up, and we make it up, and it seems real to us, and so we say it's real. Yeah. I'm really scared of that. I really fear that.
What's the name? Sadhguru or whatever. He talks a lot about fear, about how we as people are always scared of something that's either happened in the past, something that's happened to us in the past, or something that's we think may happen in the future. We have no clue, we don't know, but we're just scared of stuff that hasn't even really happened yet. It's all kind of in our imagination.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got a couple more bars I want to go back to. Yeah, life is a process, not an event. And so I often hear people, especially when you talk about like healing and getting through things in life, people just talk about like almost like it's an ending to it. Like, oh, I just want to be healed. I want to recover from this. I want to be able, and ultimately it's a journey. It's a process. It's not just a single event. Life is a process. And I thought that was really good. He talked about life has no off season. And so constantly putting in the work. I know in the book, he talked a lot during his off season, who he was training with, what he was doing, what his weeks looked like, how hard he was working. He was also an engineering student, so him trying to do engineering stuff to prepare for a career possibly after college that wasn't in the NFL, all while trying to make it to the NFL. So I thought that was really good as well.
Yeah, and that's that Kobe quote of, hey, if you, again, I keep leaning on this. I'm saying it more so for me and for people that watch or listen. Action, going out there and trying stuff, because what I'm saying is that Kobe quote is, you get to the end of the journey or the end of the thing that you've been working so hard for, you win, guess what? Now it's time to start over and get back to work again. You lose. Now it's time to start over and get back to work again. Either way, you're going to be doing the same thing. That whole life, that life is a journey. It's not like an event. Because after the event, you have to lace up your boots.
Then what?
Back to it.
Back to the grind. All right, so do you have a story in your life that you feel like relates, or you something parallel where you
I can tell a story because Wallace's journey relates so much to me, just because in high school I definitely wasn't playing a lot in sports. I had super strong desire, super strong love sports. I'm definitely feeling like everybody else on the field, or a lot of men in general, where if I work hard, I can do whatever I want to do type of aspect towards it. So a story to me that relates about the staying ready so you ain't got to get ready. I felt like in high school, I was a backup quarterback. So they would definitely throw me in during like garbage minutes, which infuriated me, but it is what it is. I'm not mad about it now, but back then in high school, I had a lot of anger. I was definitely upset about that type of stuff. But again, I didn't work that hard at football, to be honest. I worked hard, just hard enough. I didn't work hard to try and like make it in football. I knew I didn't want to play football in college. Not my passion. So throwing me in like the last minute, 2 minutes, we driving down the field, but you put me in with other players who aren't prepared. So now football is so much of a team sport, and at quarterback, somebody you in the huddle and somebody's asking you like, where am I supposed to go? That just makes you so upset, and it just makes you look bad. And of course, everybody's like thinking it's a joke, laughing and stuff. So I have a lot of stories similar to that, whether it's with football, basketball, or just different moments where it's just like, it's so many things that you can't control per se, and that you can control, and just trying to do those things differently, and then having certain even coaches or players or something who don't take what you say seriously, or who you would like to see do stuff differently. For example, I think in Wallace's book where he talked about how coaches treated certain star players differently, and how that just resonates down and feeds into the other people. Where like, if your word isn't bond, it's gonna make the whole team not feel as true. So I have lots of different stories, and I related a lot to the book around his experience of being a kicker. And when he even tries to be a wide receiver, a lot of people are like, no, you a kicker. So I've tried to be a wide receiver. No, you a quarterback, but you a backup quarterback. It's just a lot of little stuff like that that definitely just stuck with me. It's just fun. It's fun.
It's cool.
What about you?
I think honestly, just being in sports around coaches, when you start reading the book, you think of all these memories, right? And just things that come up in your mind. And there were people who doubted him. So kind of on that same tip of like, nah, you a kicker, you're not a wide receiver. I wanted to be a shooting guard. I played basketball. That was
point guard. I just like,
they didn't even have me playing point guard. They had me playing like a forward position just because I was like stout. So I used to play power forward. Horrible decision. Not my style of play. I wouldn't even say I shined in that spot, but that's what the coach was like. This
did
is
you
where
make the best of it? Like, was you
yeah, I
your
try,
thing?
yeah, but I'm leaking to the 3-point line every chance I get. Like, this is where I feel at home. So
I just want to see the 1 through 3 with you at the 4. Like, I want to see.
I was on the wing.
I just want to see what the 1 through 3 look like. The 1, 2, and the 3 with you at the 4.
Oh yeah. They always like probably an inch or so taller than me or something. Like, so we was small. We just all kind of like this. Yeah. I actually, they let like our tallest player run point guard all the time. It was so stupid. It was
Ben Simmons at the point, Magic Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. She went off to play at Howard though. She was pretty nasty. So anyway, just in that type of thing where like, this is where you want to be, but I practice. I mean, I used to have like, when we get like coaches and I stay out to practice and shoot, they be like, Lindsay, you got the best form on the team. You the best shooter on the team. I know. I keep telling y'all this. I know. I like to shoot. That's what I'm good at. That's what I practice on. So I was always ready. And my like senior year, our head coach, I don't know, he got hurt. Something happened where he stopped coaching, and his son-in-law was the assistant coach, and his son-in-law took over. He was younger, of course, and he saw my potential whole time. Like, the head coach was all about like, if you ran the fastest, if you dived on the floor. He was an effort kind of guy versus the assistant coach was a skill kind of guy. He knew. He was like, nah, Lindsay. So I got hella playing time my senior year. I remember we were trying to go to the playoffs. I hit like a game-winning shot. That was my first time ever hitting like a buzzer beater. It was like crazy. It was an and one. And I just remember those memories, but I was always ready. Like, I always practiced shooting. That was always my thing. So when my time came, I hit a big shot. So it's just things like that that definitely were stories in my life that just started coming up once I was reading the book.
Yeah, Yeah, that's super relatable.
Yeah, for sure.
I think another one that you made me think of was when Wallace was talking about how your ego can get the best of you sometimes. So like when his ego got big from a play he made or something like that, he kind of would get back humbled. And I have so many stories in my life about that where confidence goes rampant. I don't know if I told the one about like in circuits where
please tell that.
And so in circuits is usually like the filler class. It's the first class for us who major in like electrical and computer engineering. That's your first class inside of your major that kind of sets you up to know how difficult those harder classes are going to be once you're like sophomore and junior.
It's the first real EE class.
First real in your major type of class versus you're taking all those general classes. Everybody is warning you. All the upperclassmen are letting you know. All the TAs just letting you know like, hey, circuits and stuff is going to be tough. So you keep hearing it. So in my head, I'm like, I got to get ready, man. I need to prepare. I'm studying hard. I'm practicing stuff. I'm listening to our TAs, Curtis and Will, shout out to them. They are preaching to us. And funny, they say the same stuff that people say now. We're like, you can't just sit back and watch people do these problems. You need to come up here and try them. It's different when you're practicing it. The only way you're going to get at this is practice. So I was practicing stuff, doing my thing, whatever. Cut to, we get to our first test in Dr. Cheek's class.
Shout out Dr. Cheek.
Shout out Dr. Cheek. Come back the next day or the next week or whatever after he's graded the test. Dr. Cheek up there like, hey, only like 3 people passed. Everybody
failed.
Failed.
I got a 29.
19s, 12s.
I got a 29 on my first second.
So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, whatever. I know I tried hard. Get my test. I got like a 98.
That's
96,
crazy.
93, something crazy. It was me and 2 other people got like A's. Everybody else not even close. So the margin is wild.
And so you ain't getting no curves. So.
I get this. I'm like, I'm good. I don't need to study. I'm a genius. Not thinking.
I'm a genius.
Not thinking about all the work I did to get that never touched my head.
Yeah.
The next test, which is what usually happens in the class, everybody else got great grades because everybody else like took the fail, studied real hard.
Yeah.
I got like a 12. I went completely the other way.
Ego got the best of you.
Ego completely got the best of me. And that's happened multiple times throughout college and throughout life in general where I need to find a way to like stay in the middle and eat some humble pie. So Wallace talks a lot about eating humble pie in the book, and you're just gonna keep repeating lessons until you learn them. Like that's just what life is to me. So I've definitely learned that lesson.
Do you feel like something in this book gave you like a nugget where you could apply to your life right now?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think for me in my life right now, that I related with the book is what I mentioned earlier, which is understanding my why and starting and pushing towards pursuing it, knowing what I want out of life, not being because I'm very, or I have been very what's the word I want to use? I don't make decisions a lot. I'm very flexible, go with the flow. What's the word for that you would say?
I don't want to say it. I feel like it
has a negative connotation.
Yeah.
What's
nonchalant?
No. Yeah. Which I'm not nonchalant. I definitely used to be nonchalant. I'm definitely not nonchalant. I just never really had a strong opinion on either way. Like I could be that flexible where now I want to have more discernment, more decision making, more decisiveness. So to do that, you kind of got to know what you want. So I've explored what I want out of life and the whys and stuff, and now I'm ready to start acting on it. So I can definitely take from that book, knowing your why, and it's easier to make decisions when you know what you want.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think one of the things that stood out to me was just his commitment and level of drive to pursue his dream.
For sure.
And so I think that's something that I can take and apply to my life right now. It's just like, I think he rattled off his schedule at some point, and it was like 5 a.m. workouts, 6 a.m. go shower, 7 a.m. eat breakfast, 8 a.m. class, 9, 10, 11 class, 12 class, lunch 1, 2:30 to 4 study hall. And like it was just all this stuff that he was doing on a daily basis. And I even look back on college in my life, how disciplined I was at certain times in college. I have gotten so far away from being that disciplined. And so I think that's something that just motivated me to kind of get back into, hey, set something up, Lindsay, hour by hour. You know, and we've been talking about routine and stuff like that. But even just seeing, like, I was doing that all the time before. I knew, like, oh, I'm going to do this at 2 o'clock. That's what time I go to lunch. This what time I do this. So it definitely motivated me to kind of just pursue after what I want and dedicate yourself to it on a daily basis.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, and as you get older in life, what makes them get back to it is usually kids. Kids kind of show you how much time you got in a day.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice before kids to capitalize on all the free time that I have to set myself up. So yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Overall, I think the book was fantastic. Again, it was a good read. Audiobook for me. It was great to listen.
I agree. I think Wallace is on to something. He can definitely expand the sell of this book. I think, like he was talking about with us, he's going more on a generic approach, like letting it kind of expand how it is. Not generic. What's the word?
I don't know.
Organic.
Organic.
He's letting it kind of organically get spread around, so he could market this super hard. I think at different programs in schools, you could be running with this. Definitely could be a movie.
Definitely could be a movie.
Black classic movie.
Other thing is, like, I think
in the future.
I could see a coach saying, like, hey, the whole team need to read this book. Like, this is the start of camp. You got to read this book by the end of camp. It's a great one of those books if you need that from one of your teams you coaching and you need a book. This is a fantastic book to let them read.
I'm sure Wallace has a plan to turn this into a speaker run, because he definitely could be going to different football camps and different just schools in general to talk about motivation and staying on track and self-help and stuff like that. So definitely wish him all the success. Definitely a great read. If you're Aggie, definitely support. If you're not, still support. Just, again, if you're looking for self-help and looking for just a good read in general, get the copy of the book or audiobook. Either one.
Either one. Super good book. This has been another ZTP, Zen Trap Perspective. I'm one of your two hosts, Yogi LG.
Zen P.
Can't do nothing else. Remember to protect your peace.
And protect your energy.
It's the Zen Trap.
Zen Trap, we out.
We out.
Welcome to the trap. Welcome to the trap.